Now that our site is set up, our next step is to really be working on the homepage and getting that set up and displaying the way that you'd like. I went ahead and imported a number of posts and images for those posts to give you an idea of what we can do with the homepage, what would show up where, as well as some of the features that we would need to make sure are part of your post so that they display well on your homepage, as well as take advantage of other options within Foodie. So that's actually where I'm going to start. I'm going to go look at one of my posts in my dashboard here. If you haven't created a post yet, I'm going to just edit one for reference. These are things you'll want to watch out for, or at least consider, as well as if you've already done posts, you might need to go back through and add these sorts of things. Foodie does have some fallbacks, but this is the best way to make sure your site is going to display the way that you'd like. The first thing is making sure each post has a featured image, if at all possible. If it doesn't, sometimes Foodie will use a default fallback, but this makes a big difference and makes sure that the places Foodie is pulling an image automatically for you, that it uses this image. If you don't have an image right here, this is what it looks like. You can click Set Featured Image, and then you can even sort by the images you uploaded specific to the post, if that's how you're doing your post edits. And you simply choose the image you want and click Update, and you have your featured image ready to go. The second thing you need to watch out for in post, especially when it comes to homepage, however you end up setting that up, we'll be using the read more function. And on here, mine's already in this post, but I will click, I'm going to go ahead and just delete that and then add it right in here. Here's the read more tag. And then if I update my post, it will save that setting. If I go back to my homepage here as soon as it's loaded, you can see I've actually done this for all my posts, and it has a little read more link specially formatted for Foodie. The reason I bring this up is because if you want portions of your post to show up on your homepage, you probably, unless you want the whole post to show up, which is totally possible, just don't do the read more link. But if you do want this read more link, you have to manually insert that where you want that in your post. So mine, this one was after two images. The first one up here, I put in right under that image. So just wanted to mention those things. That's where those features and functionalities come from. Now we're ready to actually work on the widgets within the homepage. And what I mean by that is that if we go to our dashboard and then under Appearance and Widgets, Foodie has, I'm just going to close this one. Foodie has 3 areas where you can actually drag widgets directly in that will alter the way your homepage is displaying. The one you see on the Foodie demo is the responsive slider. This was a plugin that was installed. This was automatically installed when we set up our site. If you didn't install it at that time, you would need to install this to use it. And then you click Save, and you can go to your slider settings, which are under Genesis, and then slider settings. And you can change these settings. One that I think is recommended is hiding title and content on mobile devices, but I don't really need to do testing with that right now. I'm probably not going to save it. But what I did want to point out here is if you don't have featured images set up, Genesis responsive slider won't pull those images in. So it'll come out like this. So here's one that I actually haven't done yet. But just to give you an example of that availability. I personally don't usually use sliders. I don't think they engage people as well, but they can look really slick like this one does. And so it's an option of what you're looking for and what the style of the site you're looking for. So I'm going to go back to my widget page now. Again, Appearance Widgets. And I am, for the time being, going to remove that slider. For the rest of our homepage, we're actually going to work within the home middle and home bottom sections. So I'm just going to open this up and slide over the same widget we'll use for both of these, which is Foodie Pro Featured Posts. And in our home middle section, we're going to set up the area that will display or highlight our most recent posts. To do this, you pretty much leave most of these settings as is. The full width is going to take up the whole width of your homepage for your top post. You can show as many posts as you'd like. By default, it's 1. I usually do only 1 or 2, but you could show a few if you'd like. We don't need to offset this, but we will use this feature here in a bit. We won't show an image, and the reason we're doing that is because we actually want either the whole post to show or the amount of the post to show until it gets to read more. So these things don't need to be set here. However, we will want to use our post title. And if you like your post info, things like your post date, post author, etc., these can be changed and moved around. You could get rid of date entirely just by taking this out. You could get rid of the post author name, etc., by just removing that. Content type, we're actually going to go to show content. You could limit characters. It will kind of work. It doesn't work as well as doing the read more right in the post, as I mentioned, but that is an option. We don't need to set any of these others, and we can save it. And if we go save and check out our page, yeah, there we are. It is my post name and all that info that I was talking about. So if I could get rid of my date or my comments or something like that up there if I'd like, or all of it, you don't have to display that post info. It shows the beginning of my post down to the read more tag, which I set specifically in the post. You can also see that there's nothing else down here. There were before we added these widgets, well, and I can take it out here just to give you an example. It defaults to the way our content is displayed, so they're all showing up here, which is fine. I think that actually looks really slick, but if we want to do it so that it looks like this here at the top, and then it has a gallery or series of posts underneath, we have to use these widgets, which are very powerful. They really are cool and give you a lot of flexibility for your homepage. So for our home bottom section, we're going to use the same Foodie Pro featured post widget. So I'll just slide a new one in there, and we will have a few options of exactly what we're showing here. The goal is to, at least in setting up something similar to the demo, as well as what I just think makes a good homepage, is setting up something that highlights your most recent posts, but also makes it easier to get into your content and find other posts. The demo uses a number of different sizes. My preferred, this is a total personal preference, is using either the full width, and we do a small little image, thumbnail image next to some of the text from your post, or doing a 1/4 grid. So I'll set up both and just kind of give you a general idea of how to use this widget and set it up for your homepage. I'll do the full width one first, and I'm going to set it up so that I'm going to do 8 right now, and that's so we can actually do the 1/4 really easily as well. And I want to offset it by 1, and that offset number needs to correlate with how many featured post widgets you showed up here. If I was showing 2 or 3, for example, then I would want to offset the home bottom widget section by that many posts. And what we're really doing is saying, don't show the same post twice on my home page. So I'm just going to leave the home middle at showing 1, and then I'll offset my home bottom by 1, and then show 8 other posts. So on my home page, I will now have 9 of my most recent posts showing up. Scrolling down here, we will want to show an image, since we're going to do that sort of preview with a little bit of an image for our content here. I'm going to use the before title, and all this can be messed with and adjusted with. I think this is probably the best way, or the way that looks the most slick. Foodie creates some thumbnails that look really good on the homepage. The square thumbnail seems to be the one that sticks out the best. I'm going to left align it as well. Show the post title. And this show expert is going to be fine for showing it on our homepage, as well as automatically limiting it with a read more tag. Other than that, just click save, and we will go check out our homepage. So we have our home middle section here showing our first post, and then just making sure that post is different than this one since we offset it. These are the 8 posts that are showing up underneath. As you can see, the problem, as I've mentioned way at the beginning, is that they don't have a featured image set for them. But the rest of these do, and they are looking pretty slick. I think it largely gets the idea across, kind of gives you a little preview image of what's inside, as well as makes it fit within the theme. As some people have mentioned, using the square thumbnail does crop your image a little bit, and it's done that so that it looks good on your homepage. Otherwise, your image would be squished or tall or otherwise. But overall, I think it does a very good job at that, and still making your images look great. Going back into our widget page on our 1/4 grid, and you can use any of these again, and on the demo, I believe all of these are showing up in different ways, but I think the 4th grid is a pretty slick styling as well. I'm just going to, again, leave it at all categories showing up. do 8 posts excluding one, and I still want my image to show up, and I'd still prefer to use this. However, I'm not going to center it anymore. Oh, I actually don't want any content to show up because this is going to be a bit smaller. I don't want it to look out of place there. And then if I'm using a category or anything like that, I could actually link to my category archive, but I'm using all posts on this right now, and I'm just going to click save. So looking at our homepage, if I refresh, those posts at the bottom now have a little image and the title, which I think is pretty slick. This is also something that we'll be able to set up on a recipe page or use there, but gives you an idea of what you can do and kind of what's available. Just for quick reference, here is the 1/3 image. Gives you a little bit bigger image, kind of same idea. And then the 1/2 will do the same thing as well. And all this can be messed with and kind of tinkered with, and you're not going to break anything, but it'll give you a lot of different flexibility with, here we are, with what's available on your page and what you might be able to add or show or otherwise. One example might be if you wanted to show any content, you could show a certain amount of your content and edit accordingly. That actually doesn't look bad, giving kind of a little, it's the same amount of text that was in there before with the read more link. So just, it's, what's comfortable with your style, what really conveys the message that you're trying to build on your site. And that will more or less get your homepage set up. I'm going to do a whole separate tutorial on the pagination, which is down here at the bottom. How do you keep scrolling? How do you get back into your archives or give people a way to go back into what they're looking for, just because there are a number of ways to set that up and different things that could mean. But for now, your homepage is set up using those two widgets here, and your home middle and home bottom gets you pretty much set and ready to go.